Got it.
You got it? Okay, we're good to go. Okay, cool. So let me introduce to you Deb Baye. Deb, you want to wave, please? Karen Patrick, you want to wave, Karen? Yay. Ruth Harkin, you want to wave? Cool. These three gals, I have a wealth of knowledge history. We're just going to let them go and share stories. And I do have some pictures to share. Do you want me to go ahead and start with the pictures and let you gals talk about those, or how do you want to do this?
Karen, I don't know, and Ruth, I guess I think, and this is just my personal opinion, I think it would be important for us to start at the very, very beginning on how PAAC came to be. And again, Karen or Ruth, whoever wants to speak up, but it truly started because the Greater Milwaukee Foundation approached a number of us, Ruth, myself, and Karen being three of them, to sit on a focus group. And they wanted to do some investment through some of their foundations into the Pewaukee area. And I guess they kind of looked at us as folks that maybe had some ideas back then. I was just gonna say, somebody's not on mute. And they asked us to sit on a group to kind of determine what some of the needs were in the Pewaukee area for hopeful nonprofits. So some that maybe existed, but also organizations that didn't exist yet. So we were able to arrange to meet at the community room at Steinhoffel's. We had small groups separated, and a lot of different, I mean, the River Partnership started through that. A lot of different things did, but Ruth, myself, and Karen really had some discussions, and please speak up because you know me, I got a big mouth and I'm in marketing. What do you expect? Really determined that what Pewaukee needed was an arts organization. And that's truly where it started. So is through the Greater Milwaukee Foundation and writing grants. And, you know, that was the first step. So I don't know, Ruth, Karen, I don't know what your thoughts are, but that's kind of where it started.
I think you're
Karen, you go.
Julie, what are you needing?
Ruth, you can go.
Okay.
Oh, he said pretty much everything I was going to say.
I'm sorry, Ruth.
No, you said it much better than I could have. But the wonderful thing is that Debbie and Karen and eventually Abby came on board, and we became good friends. And it was a wonderful experience to be able to work with them and for them to put ideas in, because they were very artistic. They didn't think they were, but since all these years, Karen's producing art, Debbie has produced art, and I think they've won some prizes through Women's Club and other places too, so it was really a good thing. We were lucky enough to make a contact with Fred Gutierrez and the Greater Milwaukee Foundation, and the first day that he was with us, he called all these people together and he said, "I'm from the Greater Milwaukee Foundation and I have a question for you. Do you possibly have a need for some money in this community?" And we all went, "What? Are you kidding?"
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
said,
So like, how
"Oh."
soon can you write the check? You know.
But then I happened to know Joel Pfeiffer, and I talked to Joel about doing a clay stump maybe. And he said he could, and he gave us a little bit of information plus some videos that we were able to show to the community. And we all kind of, I think Karen and Deb and myself, we all were really excited about some of that. And then he gave us the price.
Yeah, we thought we'd die. Yeah,
We did.
Not
Then
pleasant.
Fred
Yeah.
saw one of the videos, and he came up to us and he said, "You know, I think we could probably give you some money for that." And we went, "Oh, did I say the amount or not?"
Oh, sure.
It's about 30,000.
Yeah.
And Greater
So
Milwaukee.
needless to say, it was a lot of money.
Mhm.
You
It was a
know,
lot for the materials.
yeah.
and Joel.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. But also to put together the event. So,
Yes. Well, I was going to say that, I have a timeline, and we started the arts organization, and Karen and Deb and Abby are really, really good with grants and writing things like bylaws and, I did a mission statement, but they did all the really, really hard. No, Karen, you didn't do that?
I did. Abby didn't come in until a couple of years later when I invited her in. I did all of the bylaws and the articles and everything with actually Lynn Braden, who was a local accountant, and Susan Turkey, who was the superintendent of schools at that time. And we wrote all of that. And that's just what I kind of wanted to add. We had that first group meeting with the Greater Milwaukee Foundation. We had subsequent meetings afterwards. But one of the things that Deb and Ruth didn't mention is not only did we get excited about the fact we were getting a new library, and we had an opportunity to do something there, which the Clay Stomp ended up being, the vehicle that put that beautiful mural in the library. But we also at the same time decided, why not try to start this nonprofit? So we had a lot of things happening at once. Ruth, the magic maker that she is, she went to Harkin and said, hey, can I have some meetings here? And then she called and knocked on doors, and we called on, knocked on doors. Anyone we thought that would like to hear about what we were trying to do. So we had a lot of moving pieces going on.
One strange thing happened when Fred talked to us. He said, I forgot to tell you, before I give you this money, you have to have a 501c3 organization to give it to. And we had, we don't have anything like that.
Yeah.
So
it was like, oh my God, what are we going to do now? And Karen, I remember sitting and looking at those bylaws. Oh, man.
There was a lot of moving parts. And then we had a wonderful young graphic artist that was at WCTC that came up with the logo, the Pantone colors. She was able to help us with our all of those first. We wrote our mission statement, which it stands strong. It really means a lot. Coming up with the name, we had a lot of thoughts about the name.
That was kind of interesting.
And the logo, which still stands. I have to admit, I think we did okay, but you're right. And then WCTC, because we were really strapped for money, WCTC, didn't they print the first group of brochures for us too? I thought they did through their print department.
That's an interesting story, because I was over at Oral Rooney's house, and she said, I want you to meet someone, and her name is Kate Miller. And she was a young student at WCTC. And she said, I have to do a project for school. Could I do it for your organization? It has to be a 501c3, which is the status that we had then at that time. And I said, well, I think that would be okay. I mean, it's just a design. And she did a really nice design. And then I found out that her teacher at school had to have all the kids in the class do a whole presentation as if they were trying to talk to a potential client. And they would have everything from brochures to signage to logo. And I said, oh, okay, that's as far as I thought it was going to go. But she did such an excellent presentation. I was invited to come to WCTC to see it. And I just sat there and I thought, this is marvelous. And I gave her an A1 rating. And I said, I'm going to take this back to our group, and I'm going to see if they like your things. And they all did. And consequently, WCTC donated 5,000 brochures for us. We could sign them, and they printed them for us and handed them to us. And I still have some.
And I remember writing all the copywriting for that brochure. That was quite the
project. Oh, yeah, you did.
Karen, you have a question?
Why the lime green?
Well,
growth. Green is always a symbolic.
It's funny. Why did we do lime green?
Because Kate did it.
Do you remember, Karen?
Kate came up with that as the Pantone
That's her
color.
design.
It's her design, and she said it was vibrant and bright, and she just felt that moving forward. And we love the color. It's helped us out. We, all of our branding that we did, we've done everything from coolers to water.
Oh God.
Oh my gosh.
You name it, we did it.
And it's that bright color stands out, as well as the giant green
Feet.
What?
that we
Oh my God.
created for our
Yeah, Karen and I traded back and forth as to what garage they were staying in, but mostly Karen's.
Yeah, we had 6 giant green feet. They were themselves 4 foot high, and then they were on large sticks. And I painted them the lime green. And I think they were made out of, that was when I was doing construction. So I stole the plywood off of one of my job sites. We drew them and cut them out, painted them, and they were to create some buzz for this clay stomp coming up in the community. And so I was a vice president of an advertising agency at the time, and I wanted to, use branding, but not tell people what we were doing. Just kind of to get people saying what is going on. So we basically moved those green feet all over the area. Every night we would go out and move them around. We had permission to put them on businesses, people's yards. And as it got closer and closer to the event, we kept moving them closer and closer. The clay stomp was held up at the Pewaukee school campus. And so I remember my husband had to come with me at night. We would load my little kids up in the van, and we would say, are we scarring them for the rest of their life? Because every night they had to go out and move these feet. But it was so fun.
Yeah, it was. We had a good time. You know what? And do you remember when we were getting ready for the clay stomp, and at the last minute, there was a retention pond near where we were going to have the whole event, and the insurance company said we had to block it off because they were afraid of liability, that somebody would go in near the retention pond, and we were just freaking out that the whole event was going to go down the tubes because they were afraid a kid would go into the retention pond. Oh my God. So,
we were too.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So,
and then also in the midst of all this, as Ruth said, just the cost of having the clay stomp itself and having Joel and his team come in and work with us was huge. But we also wanted to make it a community event. So we had to raise funds. We had to we had to beg for a lot of things.
Yeah.
We begged for people to give us, help with, we had vinyl banners, we had, our branding, our marketing, obviously we had costs for the tents and all of those things, but we had such community support, even though we weren't even technically, we didn't exist before this. Right.
We were we were so brand new. I mean, no question about it. And we had booths, and we actually had the Milwaukee Ballet doing demonstrations, and it was pretty incredible. It really was.
Yeah. And I wrote the grant to get us the money. And one of the things, Ruth, you'll remember the name, but we had to be diverse, and we had to, in order to get the grant, they requested that we have some diversity. So what is the name of that drumming and dancing group that we brought in?
Let's show the pictures, guys. What do you say?
Called a Jula.
Yeah. But you know what? Somebody just said at the bottom, what was the clay stomp? I can tell you, if you go between the stairs that are going downstairs at the library, you're going to see on the wall, on the back wall, a huge clay mural. And it's absolutely incredible. And that was the clay stomp. That was what really kicked off PAAC years ago. And it's absolutely incredible, and it's done in small squares, and each person was able to produce and create their piece of artwork that eventually was put together, fired, and was part of that clay stomp. If you also go to the airport, you're going to see a huge, huge mural that was also done by Joel. And what happened was that same mural was done in the same type of way, but it was done by one of our sister cities in Russia. So what happened is Joel went to Russia, created a clay stump and a mural that came back here and is in the Pewaukee Airport, Mitchell Airport. And then we did ours that became part of, at that time, the brand new library in Pewaukee.
Just as an added note, Joel went to Leningrad, but he first had a clay stomp at Summerfest for 3,000 people that stomped clay for him, and then they made a large mural that was actually shipped by ship to Leningrad, and they were so impressed with the gift that they in turn wanted to do one, but they used the banks of a river for their clay, and they made a clay stomp that came here, and that goes into the Southwest or Midwest Express wing, the old Midwest Express, and you can see Russian symbols on it and everything. Yeah. But I think it's also important to note how many people were involved in this. And we had some meetings and we asked all the art teachers in the Pewaukee School District. We had Carrie Steinborg, Jeannie Bjork, Cindy Carroll, Lee Sauer, and those art teachers came and we said, are you interested? And they said, oh yes. We had Rotary Club see the pictures. We had Debbie, Elaine Kranig, Michelle Oshansky, Tony Schneider, Donna Baldwin, and Karen, and we had all these meetings, and those were really important, but it seemed to be like a big snowball, and as we went along, it gathered more people that were interested in wanting to be involved, so that we had all these groups that came. The Milwaukee Ballet School, and this is quite a sophisticated group of students that are working on ballet, and when they graduate, they go to all the different cities and become members of their ballet companies. This isn't the kids, this is the last group, senior group of ballet dancers. And they did 3 numbers. They brought a special tarp and put it out, and they danced on that. And they explained a lot of their dancing to the audience. We had the elementary school, high school, and middle school participating, and the students, they would maybe come and stomp clay, and then they'd go and sing a song. We had a covered tent where all of the kids could do some of their songs for their teachers. We had not only the jazz band, and they were fabulous, but we had professional musicians, a lot of visual artists that came and did work. That's a jeweler right there. A jeweler opened up the event. I think it was the first thing in the morning, and you could hear them off in the distance coming. They were drumming their drums, and everybody looked and, what's that? What's that? And they came in and did a procession for us. What I wanted to tell you about the clay stomp was very interesting. This is ACAP. And the Milwaukee School of Engineering came, and if you look at the next picture, I believe, it shows an apparatus that they designed right there at the back of the wheelchair that would drip ink or paint from the wheelchair. Now, a lot of the people that were in the wheelchairs could not operate the chairs themselves. So you see some of the ACAP people had strings or ropes on the chair, and by the person looking or nodding or using their eyes, they could tell where they wanted to go with the chair, and so they would drag the wheelchair in that direction. That canvas became a piece of artwork that traveled around to the different places of the city, and they displayed it as a piece of ACAP art when it was done. It was beautiful. And then we also—
It really was. It was stunning.
We have the Don Alexa Art Center too, and they produced masks for kids to put together. Everybody had a job. All the restaurants or some of the organizations were the vendors. They served food like hot dogs and hamburgers, and they had everybody could eat. Now, I was going to explain something about the clay stomp. You who are artists will understand what I'm going to say. It would be easy to say, here's a piece of clay, odd design, thank you very much, and we'll put that on the wall. That's not how they did it. You have to have the day before, you have to take the clay and mix it with your feet in water, and the fire department comes out and waters it down. And the clay, the powdered clay, sits on a canvas. And then at the end of the watering, you close the canvas over the clay, and it's like when you iron your clothes and you dampen your clothes, you put it in a plastic bag or wrap it up so the water absorbs. When you come the next day, it still has to be mixed. So you take your shoes off and your socks and you stomp around on the clay until it gets to be the consistency that could be used for the mural.
Mhm.
And then around noon, you take a break, and Joel brings out these large trays that looks like a square dish. You pat the clay down into that and get the bubbles out. And then when you do that, you put them on tables. And then for the afternoon, because this is an all-day project, you get little tools and you can start carving into the clay wherever you want to. You can go over here, you can go over there. And then Joel takes these large slabs, puts them on a flatbed, takes them to his house where he fires them in his kiln. And he does that, but he has each one numbered. But just before he does it, he cuts it into 9 pieces. And the reason for that, excuse me, is so that the design crosses over to the next tile. Wait a second. Sorry. Excuse me. That way the design flows more. It isn't square and another square. It flows. Excuse me. Fires it, he glazes it with another firing, and then he installed it in the library. And we had a grand opening of the library and an unveiling of the sculpture at the same time. Okay, sorry. That's all.
Yeah.
Let the girls talk because they're doing a good job.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess what I wanted to add is, and I don't know if everyone can see this, but our theme for the whole clay stomp, and you can kind of see why we brought everyone together, was creating community, great. And we had this logo designed. I put together a program with the Pewaukee schools, and we had a contest with the students to come up with the logo. And a young man came up, won our logo contest, and then the graphics art program helped him get it into a point where we could use it for all to represent our event. So it was creating community. We had t-shirts for all of
Oh my God.
our volunteers, and this is going to tell you how grassroots we were and how much we were penny
How
pinching.
broke we were, how
Yes.
really broke we were. Let's be honest, Karen, we had no
Yes.
money.
Walgreens, you could buy, they had sales where you could buy t-shirts, like they were kind of, just almost lace colors for $2. So I think I went to like 14,
Yeah.
15 Walgreens.
Yeah, we were all over the place buying t-shirts.
Yes,
Yeah,
and then Debbie begged one of her vendors from her business, her profession, to print her t-shirts that we had picked up, and they printed them for us for pennies, and because they loved Debbie, and Debbie took them downtown.
Oh,
Then
you
had
see it?
well, and we were so broke that literally we couldn't even afford to have them deliver the t-shirts. So I remember going downtown and having to have to park in an alley somewhere and then begging somebody to help me get these big boxes of t-shirts in my car. It was hysterical. I mean, that's how broke we were. That's how penny pinching we were on trying to save whatever we could. Just to put on the event. So yeah, Karen and I pretty much begged, borrowed, and pleaded anybody and everybody we know, and anybody that knows us well enough knows that we're kind of the queens of getting freebies. So we both are pretty good
Oh, come
at
on, not. You guys are good at it. You're marketers.
Yeah.
I don't get those deals.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, it was.
But all of us, we all have something we put on that wall. Our families, our friends, and it's amazing to go to the library even today, because this was June of 2005, so it's 15 years ago that we did this together. But it's so neat to look at this mural, and we see that people enjoy it. You see kids touching it. That's when people can go to the library. And it's just it's so cool to know that mural will stand there for a long time. But just the fun we had.
Yeah, it really was.
Calls it a healing project.
Right,
and people will put their hands into the hands that they did when they were little. See, and they made a connection. I think it's part of education in art. You need to get people to enjoy art. They have to, they can't just walk into a museum and they go, oh, yeah, well, those look fine. If you can grab them somehow so that they find one piece of artwork or several that means something to them, they will learn to love the arts, whether it's music, visual arts, drama, writing, anything. You have to reach out and grab the people and bring them in because they won't seek it on themselves.
Well, and you know,
I have a question, ladies. How did this organization then grow into the PAAC that we know now?
very, you know, with lots and lots of work. Karen and I served on the board for many, many years. I think I just stepped off the board, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And it was a long, long process. It was writing more grants. It was, you know, getting the organization. Karen and I both served as president of the boards. Ruth, were you president of?
President.
Oh, was she? Oh my God, Ruth, I'm so sorry.
Yes, Ruth was the first.
Why are you
wow.
sorry?
Yes, Ruth.
What?
Yeah, yeah. There you go, Ruth. So
The organization.
Ruth,
many
Karen, and I
people
all
put
served as presidents of the board over a number of years. So
many people, I mean power people, were amazing. They all stepped in because the project itself had a reason to exist. I'm as surprised as anybody how everything fell together, that the people came out, that we achieved what we wanted and more. For a first project for any organization to do something this large was amazing.
Yeah.
And there weren't any parts that were bad. It was all good. We were all happy. We were pleased because our dreams came true. It just did. And I think it had so much momentum with that many people involved. And those key people stayed. Karen and Deb stayed. Abby came in. It just carried it on. People were friends. We had made relationships with one another. It was so terribly important. And even after they started going, we still stayed in contact. Well, what's PAAC doing? What are you doing now? Karen did a whole thing of pots in the city, in the village, planter pots. And she did the benches where you have all the scenes and everything. And we did a community weaving.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's in the library, in the room where you had your meetings.
Yeah. That was done by.
There were over 100 people that put a strip of cloth or ribbon or string through it. The oldest person was 104 years old, and the youngest was, I think, 3 or 4 years old. And someone said, "Oh, I made a mistake, and can we fix it?" And I said, "No, that's the integrity of the artwork. You have to leave it.
Yeah.
Because that's how they express themselves. You have to honor the artist."
Yeah, and I was really proud because for any of you that know me, they know that I work in senior housing. So the 104-year-old belonged to me. I admit it. I actually took it to work for a week. And anybody that was a senior, but the 104-year-old was from our memory care. And she was able to weave that piece because as crazy as it sounds, that's procedural memory. And so they may not be able to remember if they had lunch yesterday, but you know what? She used to weave. And so she was able to go in and she was able to weave her one piece into that. Yeah. So, I mean, it just everybody coming together, but it was also, I got to be honest with you, using our contacts. I mean, whether it was asking for sponsorships for events, whether it was, you know, calling Clements to get free brats. Believe me, I spent a lot of the time on the phone with Clements. Karen, using all of her contacts. Ruth, oh my God, you and Harkin were so generous. I mean, how long did you keep all of our supplies over at Harkin in one of your garages? A long time, a long time. You know, so
Mary, to answer your question, it's a hard question to answer because it just hung together because so many people were involved and so much excitement was created.
Yeah,
and everyone saw the purpose and the benefit of it, and everyone enjoyed being a part of it in some way. And it just couldn't help itself. It just kept going. The momentum went on and on and on for years. And I look back on all the PAAC things that you've done since then, and I am amazed. I am just thrilled to see all the things that all these creative people have put together year after year after year. You know, how do you keep going? And it's because the people that are involved.
Yeah.
How do we keep going? Anybody want to handle that one?
You know, but I do think it's contacts. I think it's who you know. I'm sorry, but it is who you know. And Karen and Ruth and myself, you know, we've been around for a while. And so we weren't afraid to tap into those contacts, whether it was sponsorships for the events, whether it was donations for the events, so much in kind over the years because we weren't afraid to ask, you know, and I do think that made a difference. It did help. There's no question about it, of course, but it's as Ruth said, it was the individuals that had the passion and wanted to make it happen. But it was the board over the years. I mean, my goodness, Nina and, you know, how many times did she bring dance to Ekfrastek? How many things did Nina bring to us, and Heidi and her art, and Karen and your art, and all of those wonderful, wonderful things that happened. So
we had an artist almost every meeting of some sort, a musician, an actor, a dancer, a creative artist in visual arts. And they shared their passion with us. We even had the Bartolotta family for the fireworks. You know, how do you create these creative things in the sky?
Yeah, yeah.
Another thing that we think was very important to remember is that our projects always included the community.
Always.
And if you want the community to care what you're doing, you have to be very visible. And you have to make a noise. You have to make your presence known, and you can't be shy. You have to show them that you know something that maybe they'd also like to know about. We had people that weren't artists, and they said, I always supported the art, I'm sorry, let me start that again. We've always supported the arts, but I don't know how to draw a straight line. It's funny, those people just sort of learned how to express themselves artistically, and some of them were starting to sketch a little bit, and what do you think about this? And so we had people that were very involved in art, and they just liked the conversation and the camaraderie of being with other artists. So and an example for the clay stump, Oral Rooney and Diane Schweitzer, got over on the playground area, and they brought chalk, and they brought pails of chalk so that the little kids could have something to do. Everybody had something that they could do and participate in. We tried to think of everything. I think we did.
We even had a VIP event the night before where we served, but we had all the government officials there, and we had them buy into our organization and buy into how we were trying to create community. And yeah, we had our arms around everything, trying to bring everyone together. And
do you remember Kay Hutchinson?
Yes.
Oh God, yeah. And Karen and I writing their speeches. That I remember. Do you remember that, Karen? We were writing writing some of the speeches for them, because I remember that being in my den, and you and I'm doing the typing, and we're writing all of what, you know, everyone needed to say. So oh my God, it was hysterical.
Kay Hutchinson was at the high school, and she was such a cute little blonde. She was adorable, and she drove a cute little yellow Jeep.
Yeah.
She was always dressed immaculately. Everything on her was just perfect. The night before the clay stomp, she showed up, and she got into the powdered clay and got herself, you know, like this little boy that Joel got with the clay coming out. I mean, he just went in there and messed that little kid up. And that little kid was very proud of it. Well, Kay did the same thing. I kind of lost track of where she was for a while, and I turned around and I looked. It sort of looked like the boogeyman or something from the great deep, you know. And I said, who are you? She said, I'm Kay. And I went, you're kidding. She was just adorable. She had gotten so much into it, the freedom.
Yeah.
People had stripes of clay all over their face, you know, the war paint, and but and even like, I mean, most people may not even know this name, but Chuck Westcott. Oh my God, he was there with us at the beginning of PAAC. He was one of those, I'm not an artist, but he was a teacher. And he oh my gosh, he was the workhorse of our group. He was always the token male, he would say, the token man. But the joy he got out of that, seeing all these children, because he just loved his history of being a teacher, and he loved children. And he stayed with our organization until the very, very end, and we lost him from this earth. You know, it's 2 years ago now, but
yeah, we're just gonna say I think it's a few years.
But
The most incredible human being.
Yeah, he could not get enough of us. He would say, "My ladies, you know, you guys you just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. I'll follow you anywhere." You know.
Oh, yeah.
PAAC finds that you want to do projects like that, and there are just so many people that are the ones that do the work all of the time, and you can't get the other ones involved. My suggestion is you try to find out what the strength is of everyone, because each person has the gift of something. And some people are your marketing people, some people are your creative thought and idea people, some are the PR people, some are very quiet, they don't want to be in charge, but they'll be a worker bee. And you allow those people to do what they do best, and don't try to make somebody do something they don't like.
No.
And use their creative, everybody's creative, and you can find out what their abilities are and what would interest them the most, and let them run with it. And you can't do this and you can't do that, and I don't like that, but don't do that.
No.
I think everyone wants to do their best.
Great advice, thanks. I think Julie had a question. Julie, are you wanting in?
I just wanted to make a comment, not necessarily a question, but the fact that our volunteers are so useful and helpful is really what makes this organization. The people who just say, I can do that, I can do that, I'll do that. And if we didn't have that from the very beginning till what we have now, this organization wouldn't really be where it is. So kudos to the beginning, and kudos to everybody now, because the worker bees, the people who say, I can do it, maybe they never did before, but I can do it. It's just, that's a fabulous group.
Well, very cool.
I admire you.
Thank you guys, for you gals, for sharing with us. It's been a lot of fun. Don't leave. This is a chance. I would love to give everybody else a chance to share their news. There's usually somebody in the group that has something going on they'd like to share. Any stories? Anybody wants to share? Any showings? Any new ventures?
Well, I just heard with Teresa Spencer today on how I got into PAAC. My life was changing, and I was becoming single, and I was staying in Pewaukee, and I wanted to give back to my community, walk deeper in my faith, and get back into art. So I went to this meeting at the Pewaukee Police Station, which they had someone from the Humane Society. It was wonderful. I sat next to Pat, oh God, wait, her name escapes me. Gallagher. Pat Gallagher. And I started talking to her. She started talking to me. She tells me that there's the Pewaukee Women's Club and that there's PAAC. She tells me when they meet, she said, give me your phone number, I'll keep you up to date. Hence, here I am. And I've been just so happy to be part of these beautiful groups of people that my heart sings. So thank you very much. I appreciate all of you. That's my news.
We're happy to have you, Joy.
That makes PAAC work.
Very cool.
Go ahead, Heidi.
Unmute, Heidi.
Unmute. I'll unmute you.
Okay, there. Thanks. I just was gonna point out that the Museum of Wisconsin Art has their members show going on again this year, and it's from November 21st to January 10th, and they won't have their big reception meeting, but they are having pieces on display from members, and both John and I will have work in that show. So if you get up to West Bend, take a look at that.
Nice.
Very
Hi,
cool.
Heidi. Good to
Hi.
see you.
Hey, Heidi. It's
Heidi.
great. Yeah, I was just going to say it's great to see you, Heidi.
Yeah, it was great to hear you guys talking and being with PAAC again.
Well, it's not my news to share, but Abby Lorenz is not with us tonight because she and her husband are celebrating their
Anniversary.
35th wedding anniversary
Mhm.
with a vow renewal with their family this evening. So
How
Abby
wonderful.
sends her best, but she is otherwise occupied. And somebody else on this call is celebrating her 30th wedding anniversary tomorrow. And she might decide to tell us about that. Do you want to share that?
You're muted, Julia.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Well, I can't. Not 35 like Abby, but 30 for us. So I don't know. We celebrated in Michigan last weekend. It was super fun. So thank you.
Very good. Congratulations, Julia. Yay. All right.
Why don't we just ask Anne? Anne has been just a fabulous helper, worker bee, person with PAAC. I'm so happy that she's with us. And I know that she's so involved with so many different galleries and showings and places. So Anne, what is one of the latest things where you are showing some of your artwork?
Oh, well, thank you, Julie. Let's see, I got into the Cedarburg Art Museum show, Masters of Muses, I believe it's called. And then I'm in a show that's in January called Art and Culture. And I just found out the other day that they have a foundation that purchases artwork for new hospitals and medical facilities going up. And they purchased my piece before it was even in the show. So they'll have a sold tag on it. I don't know, there's
Wonderful.
Hey,
you.
going on all over Wisconsin. And the one thing I have to say about PAAC people are they're very enthusiastic, and you know, the ideas just keep on pouring forth, and I just love that they happen. That, you know, we get these great ideas, and then everybody pitches in and it happens. So I think we're at a really great time to be a PAAC member. So I hope we get more members. I would love to see more writers, more musicians, more dance or movement people. But anyway, thank you, ladies, for sharing your experience. And we've all really enjoyed seeing the clay stomp piece when we had our meetings, when it wasn't virtual anymore. But it's really an extraordinary piece for everybody who enters the library to enjoy. So thank you so much for making that happen.
Welcome.
Pleasure.
Cool. Yeah. Yay.
It's wonderful. Lots of friends.
Are the rest of you also artists? That I don't know. I know Anne, and I know Mary, and I know, whoops, that Mary just disappeared. Oh, there she is.
I'm still here. I haven't gone away.
Okay.
I'm going to fiddle with something else while y'all talk. The rest, we have.
How big is your organization now? How many people?
I think 105.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, 105. And Julia, as some of you know, she's a writer extraordinaire. And she's written lots of articles highlighting some of our artists and musicians in PAAC, which, you know, gets our name out there throughout Milwaukee, the Milwaukee area. So thank you, Julia, for everything you do. And Julie, well, she's just an amazing treasure. I don't know how long Julie has been a member of PAAC. Julie, how long have you been a member of PAAC?
I think I joined in 2008.
Okay.
Not much longer after, or 10. I don't remember anymore. But I was laid off and I needed to do something, and I went to PAAC, and oh my gosh, it just fit like a shoe.
Mm-hmm.
So I love what we do. I love the people. there's just so much energy and leadership and workers. I just can't say more. I'm super passionate about the group, and I love everybody. And I wish there were more men. The men we have are just delightful and helpful. The gals, I mean, we're all hard workers, and it's just a great group. So thank you, ladies, for starting us and for being with us for as long as you have and keeping us going. And it's just inspirational. So thank you so much.
Well, you have become the inspiration now. It's good to read all the things that you're doing. I'm so impressed.
Yeah.
I want to know who's the bottom corner there with a funny hat on. Who is that?
That's Julie's sister.
Oh, okay.
It's
I have
their
no
wife.
idea. All I see is somebody messing with my screen. I see Salto now. So yeah, that would be it. It's Halloween. You know, we're not going to see each other till then. So I put my mask on.
When Karen, Ruth, when you look at the packages in our raffle and you see in one of the baskets, there's a lovely, lovely mosaic mirror in one of the packages. My understanding is that was created by our masked wonder who's not showing us her face, but Terry created a lovely, lovely mosaic that's in one of the raffle or auction baskets. So
I'll look for it.
look for it. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, cool. So I know we have about 3 minutes. I just real quick want to remind everybody that we've got a free to the public session going on next Monday. We don't have anybody yet signed up for the 9 a.m. class. So if you're interested, please sign up. We do have a few folks signed up for the 7 p.m. class, but we've got plenty of space.